This webinar is brought to you by Kakehashi Africa, Google for Education, and Slime for Africa. I will be your host for the webinar, Mr. Nkamosoa Ojong. Enjoy.
Okay, sir. So, hello everyone. Today is the first webinar series we have planned by Kakehashi Africa to celebrate the milestone of the 60th anniversary of Japan-Nigerian relationship, diplomatic relationship. The serendipity is that Japan was the first Far East Asian nation to have a diplomatic relationship with Nigeria as far back as October 1st, 1960. And it is my honor and my pleasure to have with us a distinguished Senator Udoma, Commander of the Order of Niger. Have to, talk about your your award before we come down to the award that you received from His Royal Majesty the Emperor of Japan. So I just want to give a brief bio. It's pretty lengthy, but I have to do some summary. Senator Udoma was born on the 26th of February, 1954. He's the son of late Sir Egbert Udoma, Justice of Nigerian Supreme Court, and Chief Justice of Uganda from 1963 to 1969. That would be of an immense interest to our Ugandan friends or our Kenyan friends. Concerning your education, Senator Udoma attended Corona School, Ikoyi, Lagos from 1962 to 1964, and Nakasoro Primary School, Kampala, Uganda from 1964 to 1965. He attended King's College, Lagos for his secondary education from 1966 to 1972, and after his A-levels proceeded to St. Catherine's College, Oxford, England, where he obtained a BA in Law degree in 1976 and a BCA degree in Jurisprudence in 1977. He was called to the Nigerian Bar Association, I beg your pardon, in 1978. Senator Udoma is the founding partner of Udoma and Bello Osagi Associates, a marquee international law firm with its head office in Lagos, Nigeria. He was a two-term senator representing Akwa Ibom South District in the Fourth Republic, and he was the Senate Chief Whip from 2003 to 2007 Senate. He was the Federal Minister of Budget and National Planning from 2015 to 2019 under President Muhammadu Buhari. He's the only Nigerian, emphasis with air quotes, the only Nigerian to be decorated with the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold, and Silver Star by His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor of Japan. And so without any further ado, please let's welcome distinguished Senator Udoma. Thank you for honoring our request to be with us here, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
So, before I chit chat, I just a little segue. I submitted the katakana writing of your name and that of Mr. Hakim Bello Osagi.
Yes.
It wasn't too lengthy, my explanation of how his names would be pronounced differently.
Yes.
So today, this interview, because we want to glean on your wisdom, we are mostly scholars, but of course, we have a peak interest when it comes to nation building, especially as it concerns the relationship between Japan and Nigeria. And you are a focal point in that relationship, seeing that you are revered as the only Nigerian to be decorated by His Imperial Majesty, the Emperor. And so it really is an honor and an opportunity for savvy minds like us to learn from you. So that is the crux of this interview. And just wanted to start the interview with a little bit something closer to heart. And like I said, my concern, most of us who are not Nigerians but are attending here, is the fact that it's of interest that you were in Uganda. Do you have any recollections of your time as a child in Uganda?
Oh, Uganda was a really lovely time. The Ugandans received us very warmly. At that time, my father was the first African Chief Justice, and he was well treated, highly regarded. Nigeria at that time was seen as sort of a rising star. I'm sure we're still rising, but it wasn't at that time. Our image was even better than it is now. And we were very highly regarded. In fact, when I was there, we had the first All-Africa Games in Brazzaville, and Nigeria won the highest number of medals in the athletics. And it was a thing of pride. Everywhere you went as a Nigerian, you were looked at with pride. The school I went to, I had a lovely time in the school. I made many friends, some of whom I'm still in touch with till today. So at that time, there was a real sense of African unity and African bondness. In fact, I assumed, many of us assumed, that Africa would one day become one country. There was a lot of African feeling of African unity, and so we're well received. We enjoyed the time. My father was, in fact, at one point, he actually acted as the Governor General of the country. So it was a lovely time to be in Kampala, and I traveled extensively throughout Uganda. It was really lovely.
Could you dabble a little Swahili, I believe, or so?
We learned a bit. My younger brother could speak fluent Luganda, but we, at least things like jambo, which means, it's a greeting.
Hello, yeah.
Things like that.
Sawa, sawa.
And so on. So little things like that, but it's a long time. I was in school there in 65, and so after 66, I left. So it's been a long, long time now. Although I did go back once, a few years ago, I was invited to deliver a lecture at the Makerere University. It's the lecture series is actually named after my father. Oh. And so I was invited to give a lecture, and we spoke about the relationship, between Nigeria and Uganda. And we looked at, the various historical ties, as well as, the similarities in the legal system, because, I'm also a lawyer. So I spoke a bit about that.
Oh, so a lot of time to reminisce and to catch
Yes, as I said, I'm still in touch with some of my Ugandan friends. In fact, the current Kabaka of Buganda is somebody who's a good friend of mine, yes. So okay. He's the traditional ruler of the kingdom of Buganda.
Wow.
So he's a good friend.
Wow, that's quite interesting. So like you were saying, a little, the earliest feeling of Pan-Africanism, is that what you would describe?
Yes, I think it was a really nice time. And we have a lot of things in common, having both had British, coming from the British colonial experience. It has left me a feeling, I feel very African. I still hope, and I would still like to see greater solidarity and unity in Africa. I have a lot of Ugandan friends, I have Kenyan friends, I have friends from Ghana. And also when I then later on studied in the UK, in Oxford University, I also met a lot of other Africans. And so I have always had that feeling, that sense of being at home in any African country I go to.
Okay, I mean, the emphasis on friendship is a nice way to link to my next questions. When you're next in secondary school in King's College, Lagos, and I couldn't help but notice that your current partner at law, Mr. Hakim Bello Sage, the likes of Chief Atedo Peterside, they were colleagues with you at
Yes.
King's College.
Yes.
And now you are big players in Nigerian corporate sector in law and banking. Was King College more like an elitist institute for boys at the time?
Well, okay, first of all, let me explain that my partner is not actually Kim Belosage. It is his wife. It is his wife, Dr. Maima Belosage, who is from Ghana, interestingly. And she and her husband Kim studied together in Harvard. And so they met in Harvard and then got married. And so when they came back to Nigeria, she came and worked with me and then became a partner in the firm. So the firm is now, of course, a very big law firm with more than 60, 70 lawyers, with about 14, 15 partners. In fact, both Maima and I have recently retired. So we are more of counsel. We do part-time work in the firm. But going back to your question about King's College. Now, King's College is not an elitist place. At that time, and I'm sure it's probably still the same, there used to be a common entrance exam, which was taken throughout Nigeria. And the first 60 were taken. That was how they published the list in daily times. It was also gazetted. So they picked the best 60 of those who took the exam from throughout the country. And so we came from different places. For instance, Atedo Peterside came from Port Harcourt. Of course, Kim Belosage, even though he was in school in Lagos, he is from Benin, and I'm from Akwa Ibom. So you had people from different parts. When we got in, you had people from the north, from every part of the country. And we were discouraged from speaking any vernacular language, any Nigerian indigenous language. And therefore, they tried to reduce the sense that we're from different places. And we built a bond of unity. Indeed, in the school, one of the most important subjects which was taken was civics. And it was taken by the principal himself. At the time, it was Rex Akpofure, the first Nigerian principal of King's College. So in Form 1 and Form 2. And the basic focus of civics was a feeling of patriotism, nationalism, and public service. So many of us grew up with a sense that your life cannot be complete unless you provide some public service. So I would like to have civics restored in schools throughout Nigeria to try and inculcate in all Nigerians a feeling that Nigeria should come first, a feeling that public service is important. Those were the sorts of things which King's College inculcated in all of us. And so I have a lot, I benefited a lot from that exposure to a feeling of, and we're still in touch with each other. The King's College Old Boys Association is a strong bond, and we still relate and we still meet. You know, so those sorts of things. I think Barewa College may also have a similar thing, but we need many more of schools which have pupils from all over the country, as opposed to this idea of principally the local people, local catchment. It's better for people to come from all over the country. It builds a sense of national identity. So these are like what you may call unity schools.
Yes. But first of all, my apology for that oversight.
No. There's no. It's not a problem. It is yes. I mean, it's a mistake many people make. It's actually Kim's wife, as opposed to who worked with me in the law firm.
Thank you very much. I stand corrected, Senator.
No
so now, concerning your choice of law, did it just come naturally to you as ducks take to water? After all, your father was an esteemed lawyer himself.
Well, I'm sure that it would have influenced my decision. However, my father was very careful and not to impose any choice of career on any of his children. He encouraged us to be different, to decide for ourselves. So my eldest brother decided to study engineering, and my father was very thrilled with that. The one after him studied geology. I'm the third. My father was also equally pleased with that. He said, whatever you want to study. So when I chose the law, he was also equally pleased with it. Whatever you choose to do. Well, he just emphasized that it is important that you are well educated, because education transformed his life. He was one of 6 Ibibio scholars in Akwa Ibom Cross River part of the country, who was selected by the Ibibio Union, and he was sent on a scholarship. And that scholarship transformed his life. He became one of the first Ibibio lawyers, and so it improved his life. So he kept on emphasizing, take education seriously. My obligation to you is to make sure you're well educated. After that, you're on your own. And literally he meant it. Once you left university, he said, you're on your own. Don't come and look for me for anything. You should be able to stand on your own 2 feet. And so that is the background of my choosing law. Maybe I should also say, was that I was concerned about having a profession that did not require taking a job in government or working for anybody. So law was I was attracted to law because you could actually set up your own practice and be independent, which also brings me to something I want to discuss about, which is politics. I'm one of those who believe that one should try and make a contribution to your society. But if you're going into politics, you should not depend on it. You should have a profession. You should have something which you earn your living from. In fact, until you have made a success of that and you have a stream of income from that business, do not go into politics. So if you're a farmer, get your farm to be successful. Yeah. Then if you want to go into politics, you may go into politics. So whatever you're doing, it's important that you have your own business, your own profession, because that enables you, when you're in politics, to take principled decisions, because you're not dependent on politics for your livelihood. And therefore, whenever you're involved in politics, on important issues, you can take positions according to your conscience, even not minding the consequence. If the consequence means you leave, so be it, because you have another career or profession. And maybe I should also add that when I was just getting ready to go for my National Youth Corps, I did my National Youth Corps in Kano. The late sage, Obafemi Awolowo, came to see my father. But my father was not in. At that time, the telephones didn't work. And he came in the hope that he would meet him, but he wasn't in. So he said to me, young man, sit down, let me have a conversation with you. He asked me what I was doing. I told him I've just finished law school. I was about to go to do my NYSC. Then I asked him, I said, well, as minister, they called him commissioner. He was commissioner for finance, minister of finance. I said, how come you didn't live in the government house in Ikui? He said to me, young man, let me give you some advice. Just in case tomorrow you decide to go into politics or hold political office, try and make sure that you maintain that you do not live differently from the way you were living before you entered politics. That way, it is easy for you to adjust back to your life after politics, because politics is temporary. And so don't start taking or enjoying benefits, which benefits will dry up when you cease to be in political office. Live according to the lifestyle that you can independently afford. And this has helped me. Those two things have helped me. So that even if I'm a minister or a senator, I live no differently from the way I was living before I was a senator or before I was a minister. I try to minimize the benefits that I'm taking from government. And that way, when I cease to be there, nobody even notices. My wife, my children, they're still living in the same standard that they were living before politics. And that is very important for young people who are thinking about political involvement. Do not make your livelihood from politics. Because if you do, you will not be able to stand independently and take principled positions because you'll be afraid of losing your job. And so those are the sorts of things that I think also young people should look at ways of earning a livelihood. As I said, if you're a farmer, be a successful farmer. If you're an engineer, have a successful engineering business. If you're a doctor, have a small or at least a medical practice. So that before you go in, so that if at any time you feel it necessary to leave politics because you don't agree on a principle, you can take a principled position and go back to your business.
Oh, that's so much to learn, to benefit from. And it's similar based on the sub-theme of this interview about learning from both examples of Japan and Nigeria. In Japan, of course, place a premium on Spartan living, of accountability, transparency, and almost like minimalist, so to say. And so
those are my own views. I believe in honesty. I believe in the end, these things help to build a society, to mold a society. It is not just the law. The laws and rules are good, but the way that people's attitudes, the practices that are accepted as norm actually help to shape a society even more than the law itself.
So was there like a nascent apathy towards politics when you said you wanted to do law, but you were not necessarily thinking about public service?
Well, no, I was, okay, I didn't want to be dependent on government,
the state,
for my livelihood, but I wanted public service. I didn't want to be a career politician, somebody who depends on being in government to earn a living, to send your children to school, to do all those things. I didn't want that. I wanted to have my own independent income. My father was similar. He had a law practice in Aba, and so he made his own money, and he spent the money in politics, as opposed to the other way around, as opposed to going to politics to generate income. And I believe that also helped him to be independent. I think it's important that in politics, you are independent in the sense that you are able to stand for principles and values, and you don't compromise those values.
I mean, Winston Churchill said politics is the highest form of public service. And most of us here in scholars, we have an inclination to serve in the public service, or some of us are already.
I would encourage it, but as I said, try not to be dependent on it for your livelihood.
Your livelihood.
Yes.
Wise words to abide by. So, distinguished Senator, we want to go into some of the policies, policy discussions. One of them that was very famous was when you were the Minister of National Planning, was the Official Development Assistance.
Yes.
ODA from JICA for polio eradication, and in 2013. So we want to know, what's your sincere assessment or inference of the support gotten from JICA?
I must say that the Japanese support for Nigeria, I must commend the Japanese government and Japanese people for their consistency over the years in giving support to Nigeria. Just to share some numbers, Japan has, since 1966, provided well over $1.4 billion in assistance to Nigeria in the form of loans of over $780 billion in form of loans, grants, over $464 billion $783 million. So 1.4 billion overall, and in loans, $783 million. In grants, about $464 million. In technical cooperation, about $173 million. Principally in economic growth and infrastructure. In health, you spoke about the support for polio eradication, and as well as peace and stability. And whilst I was minister, we signed a number of agreements and projects, one for diagnostic capacity of Nigeria Center for Disease to expand the diagnostic capacity, one for rehabilitation and reinforcement of the Lagos power transmission substations, and then one for the provision of a number of ambulances, I think 43 ambulances, and then improvements of electricity supplies in Abuja. So the Japanese JICA, Japanese government has provided a lot of support to Nigeria, and that is really appreciated. In addition, Japanese companies have involved in investing in Nigeria, in helping to build some of our infrastructure. For instance, the Kaduna refinery, Chiyoda was involved in the Kaduna refinery, in the Warri refinery as well. In Eleme petrochemicals, Japanese were involved, Japanese companies were involved. Indeed, in Bonny LNG, which has been very successful, Japanese companies were also involved. And I know a lot about this because a number of those companies actually retained my law firm, Udoma and Bella Osage, retained us to provide legal advice. Because as you know, we're one of the leading firms that do a lot of international business. And so we got to work with a number of Japanese companies. And I was struck by the excellence of the product, the commitment to hard work and to getting projects completed on time. And so generally, when a Japanese company was bidding, the government was usually favorably inclined towards them, because of the excellence of that product. So those are the various ways that Japan has been involved in helping Nigeria develop.
Okay, and I mean, recently there's been maybe a rise of modular refineries, especially in the now, suppose that post deregulated regime of the downstream oil sector. And so is that to be encouraged, that more modular refineries, especially from Japan?
Oh, yes. In fact, one of the things that has happened over the last 10, 15 years is as I keep on telling them, Japan used to be, as far as support from Asia, used to be seen as number one, really. But over time, the Koreans have now gotten involved in that space in terms of technology and giving support, and now the Chinese. And so there's a tendency for lots of people in government to look at China, because China is now so visible, with the various programs that there are those things. So I keep on challenging Japan. Japan used to be #1. You can be #1 again. You can move and be even more active in supporting Africa, in supporting Nigeria, because we do value the expertise and the excellence of Japanese products.
Okay. And another interest of Japanese companies in our private sector is that, are they going to get more support from, say, maybe Nigerian capital market? Because it depends on foreign direct investment. Can they be encouraged to come to foreign portfolio investment too from Japan, that has a very big capital market as well?
Oh yes, certainly. I think that you people who are there, you have an opportunity when you are coming back, because you are known, because business is really about connections and about trust. People have to trust somebody. Someone doesn't just wake up and say, I'm going to invest in Nigeria. He must have a connection, and you can be that connection. When you finish your programs and all that, and you're looking at coming back, you should talk to Japanese companies or even work for them briefly for a short period of time so they get to know you. And if you are coming back, they may, together with you, they may be encouraged because they know something. And so what you do there in Japan also will help to sell and market Nigeria. If they have a good experience with you, it will reflect on their view of Nigeria. So all of you can work together to try and get more Japanese investment. We certainly need more Japanese investment. There is opportunity in Nigeria because we have such a shortage of almost everything. If you want to build roads, if you want to build the railway, I mean, Japan was again the first to come out with the bullet train. Yeah. And so right now we're working more with China in Nigeria because the Chinese have been a bit more forthcoming. But if the Japanese could be encouraged, they could maybe take a particular part of the railway line and make that the Japanese railway line sort of thing, and it could actually, so that there are opportunities for sure. But everything about business is about trust and working with people that you know. So it's important that, as I said, you provide that bridge to help to bring Japanese investment, more Japanese investment to Nigeria. Japan has a number of very good products. I mean, you mentioned the Toyota car, everybody knows it's one of the most excellent products. So there is an opportunity there, and I think that you can also be help to promote that investment in Nigeria.
Certainly, Senator. And another vanguard matter is that of the African Free Trade Agreement. So there's a sense of curiosity, seeing that Nigeria is the biggest economy, the largest economy in Africa, and so Nigeria would even be pivotal to connect, especially West Africa to Central Africa. What are the implementations in place? I mean, speaking from your vantage point concerning Nigerians' preparedness to exploit the African Free Trade Agreement and how international partners like Japan can benefit from it?
Okay, I have to say that at the initial stage of the discussions, some Nigerian companies were a little wary of the African Free Trade Agreement, because they were concerned that foreign companies outside Africa, European companies, Asian companies, could piggyback on a country in Africa to get access to the market and give unfair competition to local products. So there is concern about that. And so one of the things that is also being looked at is what is an African product? Can someone just come, simply because set up in Africa, everything 100% imported? Would that be considered an African product? So these are the issues and the challenges which are being looked at. But those challenges, I believe, can be addressed. So Nigeria believes that it can be addressed, and they're being addressed. So consequently, what we want to do through what the whole African free trade is to encourage much more trade within Africa, rather than African companies or countries always having their primary trade relationships with Europe or Asia. The primary relationship should be with their neighbors. Secondary relationship further afield. And so to try and encourage that, which, given the fact that Nigeria has a very big market, it is in Nigeria's interest to have the African free trade, so that it can act in a way like the EU and other regional free trade areas. So it's an exciting prospect. It is not something that foreign investors outside of Africa should be worried about. What they need to do is to identify partners in Africa who can also add value to the product, so that they can have a joint product, as opposed to a totally foreign product which is just assembled in Africa. So Africa can bring some value. There are some advantages that we have in Africa. One, in many countries, we're investing a lot in education, so we have manpower. And the labor is slightly less expensive than in many other countries. Chinese labor is increasingly getting more expensive. So African labor, we have an opportunity there. Then we also have the large African market, a growing market. We have a young population of people who are willing to work hard. So I think that African Free Trade Agreement can be a win-win for Africa, a win-win for our other external partners.
Okay. If I were to appeal to any sense of vanity you have, sir, maybe if you come to Japan, because of the averages of the demography, you find out that you become a younger man, because there are far more older people here in Japan.
No, but I have to say that speaking about Japan, my interest in Japan, I have to say something about that. So why am I so interested in Japan, and what? Because Japan goes back to 1981. At that time, I was working for a Nigerian law firm, Chris Ogubanjo and Co. And it was part of a group, it belonged to an international group of lawyers. And the meeting for that year was held in Tokyo. And I was sent to represent my law firm. And I got there, I was amazed at what Japan was. In terms, it was clear to me that the massive transformation of Japan in about 30 years or so was just phenomenal. The technology advancement, the commitment to hard work, the whole culture, I was very, very impressed by it. And then, to give you an amusing story, I went on a visit of a temple just outside Tokyo, some miles outside Tokyo. Okay. And some Japanese schoolboys were following me and they were shouting, Ali, Ali, Ali. And I turned to one of my Japanese friends. I said, is that a Japanese custom? I couldn't understand why they were going after me and they were calling me and hailing me. He said, no, they actually think you are Muhammad Ali, the boxer, who was at that time the most famous Black person. And so I was very flattered that they should have thought that, mistaken me for Muhammad Ali. And so it was a very flattering experience that I had. But they were all, I found the Japanese children, people from everywhere, very welcoming. They were very, they're willing to come up to you. Some couldn't really speak English. They're gonna, maybe I have somebody to translate for them. Yeah. But they were all this, I just found them very friendly. And I hope that is also your experience. That was my experience. So I left Japan with a feeling that these are people and a country that we could learn a lot from. They didn't have no natural resources, or not many, but they were able, by technology, by hard work, by organization, and by working together between the public and the private sector, by government working together with private companies, they're able to transform the country and become, at that time, one of the largest exporting countries in the world. So I was very impressed. And subsequently, I kept in touch, with Japanese people, Japanese companies. As I indicated later on, some of them even use my law firm, retain my law firm. And I always found working with Japanese, because they are very straightforward. If they say yes, it takes them time to say yes, a long time to say yes. You have to. But once they say yes, they keep to it. But you need you have to sit down and convince them first before they say yes. But they don't go back on their commitments. And that is one of the things that I've enjoyed about working with Japanese people.
Amazing, amazing. So at this particular juncture, before I move you to asking more informal questions, I want to give an opportunity to our attendees to ask any questions. So I would start with Mr. John Paul Okpara. If you could please just put on your video and or mute your mic.
Good evening, Senator. It's a pleasure to listen to you speak.
Thank you, John Paul.
It's the first time to actually have a conversation with you. I know we sent emails in the bid of preparing for this event, and want to say a very big thank you on behalf of our platform, Kakehashi Africa and the Home Scholars platform. Want to say a very big thank you, and want to say thank you also for sharing your view on politics, which it's a very good form of advice for the young ones coming. My question is like this. You've had so many experiences doing business with Japanese people. If you're a starter, for instance, what would be the thing you would ask young people to look out for, especially when trying to make a pitch to a Japanese company? Like you said, we should try to bring companies back.
Well, I would say that in order to make them interested, you also have to have your links back home. So you need to do the two. You need to, first of all, do your homework in terms of, once you identify a Japanese prospect, Japanese who might be interested, then you have to do your own preparatory work. You now have to find out the business that they're in. Are they Nigerian companies or Nigerians who might be interested in working with them? Then you link up with the Nigerian company and identify them and make sure that they also have some integrity. Because sometimes in Nigeria, you have to be very careful about that. Because once you do that, then you have something to offer the Japanese company. The Japanese company want to know a lot more information. They generally are people who are painstaking. They do their studies, they do their research before they take any decision. So you yourself have to prepare yourself properly. So I would say before you propose to Japanese company, try and link up with a Nigerian outfit, that you could work with. So this is what I would say, because if they do their research and they don't think you're a serious person, then they may write you off and tell others that this person is not to be. So it's important that you get it right the first time. Once you build a good reputation, they will tell others, this is the person to talk to. If it's a bad reputation, they'll also tell others. So I think it's important that your first time you try to do something, be painstaking. Try and get it right. Don't make claims which you cannot substantiate, or which, if they investigate, they find that it is not, those claims are spurious. Because once bitten, they will not come back. So that is what so be very painstaking about it. If you need assistance, you can always reach out to people like myself and so on. I'll be quite happy to look at it and then maybe look at for a Nigerian company that might be interested. You can also talk to the Nigerian ambassador in Japan. He could also be helpful. So this is the advice I would give.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Paul Obara. Any other questions before we go into our final trivia? Anyone? I think we all caught the Japanese bug. That's a little bit shy and introverted.
No. Yeah.
Somebody is Emmanuel.
Okay, Mr. Emmanuel Haruna.
Nice to see you here, my honorable minister. My name is Emmanuel Haruna.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Haruna, and I actually work with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning.
Ah, fantastic.
Where you were before.
Yes.
Yeah. Then currently, I'm undertaking my doctorate degree here in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think you were in the office when I left. I left in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. Honorable Minister. So nice to have you here. Yeah. My question
What is your experience in Japan?
Yeah, I have a lot of experience here in Japan. So before Japan, I was in Korea. So I did my master's in Korea.
Okay.
Then I came up to the office because of the bond I have. So I have to work for like 3 years. Then I came back in 2016. I worked for 3 years. Then I left in 2018 for PhD. So through the embassy, made scholarship. So I had, the experience is quite different from Japan to Korea to South Korea, because I chose South Korea because of where I work. So because I deal with plans and economy programming, right? So I work with the former Mr. Obasa. So which is
yes.
Yes. So in economic growth department. So we deal with sectoral issues. So in terms of policies and plan. So my experience in Japan is quite different. So like you said, so one of the experience I can live with it in Japan is it's difficult for them to say yes, and it's also difficult for them to say no. And when they say yes, you must work towards to achieve that trust for them to say yes.
Yes.
And thank God I actually studied in South Korea, which is a developing country. So it's more open than Japan. So Japan is like kind of a circular economy. And I purposely wanted to study in Japan because it's one of the advanced country in the world. Because of what I do in the office, right? So my division is industries and manufacturing. So under economic growth department. So I want to learn some of all those there. So how do they become a most industrial nation in the world? So that was why I actually choose Japan, and I'm very happy because I have seen that. So I have seen this society is very welcoming, and one of the things I can take from Japan is the polite. They are very polite. So when I say polite, I really mean it. An average Japanese can leave what he's doing to assist a foreigner. So which I've traveled by the virtue of where I work. So I've traveled to so many countries. So I've never seen a country compared to Japan. Japan is very polite, Honorable Minister. So these are my experience. Now to just to go to my question.
Your question, yes.
Yes. So my question is this. So I have a bond with the office. After my doctorate degree, I need to go back to the office. So, so I want, as a father, so I want to just seek for your advice. So I'm here studying, undertaking my doctorate degree. So what would you advise that I should learn and take it back to the office? Since you are once my honorable minister in the office.
Well, I don't know what are you doing your doctorate in?
Development economics.
Okay.
Development
well,
economics.
that is a very important subject. I think it is very important. I would say just be open to as many ideas as possible, because conventional thinking in terms of development, every time we think we got it right, we find that there are still things to learn. So I believe that be as open, therefore you can be innovative. You can actually come back to Nigeria and come up with new ideas about how to tackle the problems of development in Nigeria, because we still don't have it right. The conventional approaches, which may work in other countries, may not always work in Nigeria. They may need to be adjusted. So just, I would say, don't have a tunnel vision. Keep a very wide and open, keep a very wide and open mind. Read a lot and try and just learn a lot. And then, so you don't know which of the various ideas that you're picking up, which of them will be the most useful to you when you get back. And when you get back, I would suggest you do a paper setting up what you think. Don't wait for unless they ask you. You be proactive. Look at what you think is missing, or what you think we can do differently, and do a paper and send it. I don't know what the route would be, maybe through the permanent secretary to the minister, and say, these are your ideas. You've just come back. You have these ideas. These are the things that you think we need to adjust. Put it down in writing and send it in. Don't worry that it's not well received initially. And so sometimes the best things take time, but put it down in writing and so on. But the key thing is be open to ideas, and in terms of, and look at, also try and see what is happening in countries similar to Nigeria that have gotten it right. That would be my advice.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. So I really appreciate that advice. Thank you so much.
And I wish you the very best. And I think that I am very optimistic about Nigeria, in spite of the challenges that we have. And why am I optimistic? I'm optimistic because we have a lot of young people with ideas. We are very enterprising. It is easy when you see some of the problems that we have to be discouraged. But in fact, things can turn around very quickly, and I believe that with lots of the things that you people are doing, young people, you can come back and actually turn the country around. So I'm still very optimistic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister.
Wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for that moral boosting final line that you just gave us. And speaking about more robust, and the little trivia that I discussed earlier on, if you could do a karaoke. Never wanted to surprise you.
Now, first of all, I must tell you that I don't have a good voice to start.
Understood. Understood. Guilty. We're not going to judge you.
My son has a very good voice, but I don't. So, but why not? I will.
Thank you, sir. It's for the good cause. So, okay. First of all, like in the theater, at least they have something where they just loosen their song with it. So you could sing the chorus, like we all know, as first practice. And then I'm going to put on a screen the karaoke version of the Japanese. It's alphabetized, so you can at least pronounce them. So, I'm just playing it at the background. So that's maybe all you just have to do is just like everybody knows, sweet small.
No, I will sing the Japanese.
Oh, you can sing the Japanese by heart now?
Not by heart, but I will try. I will sing.
Okay, so let me just share the screen.
No, but I have it in front of me, so I'll sing. You don't have to share the screen.
Thank you, sir.
I've just written it down here.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
So when should I start?
You could start. You could just pace yourself for 1, 2.
Okay.
And sorry. So we'll go starting at 1, 2, go.
Sainoha wasurimasen watashi no tame ni arigato. Sainoha wasurimasen watashi no tame ni arigato.
In Japanese, we would just say sugoi, which is like wonderful. Thank you so much, Senator.
Should I do it one more time then, or?
Okay, let's take it one more time. It starts first of all with the drums, so maybe you can give it some few minutes. Then, of course, it's a very popular beat that you know how to cue in. Okay.
Sainoha wasurimasen watashi no tame ni arigato.
Thank you so much, Senator.
Okay, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for honoring.
All right. So what are the other events that you have lined up?
We have 2 more webinars tomorrow with Professor Kazuaki Oda from Nagoya University and Professor Andy Brisibe from the University of Calabar in Cross River.
Professor who?
Andy Brisibe.
Okay. Okay. So, well, enjoy yourselves in Japan. It is called the Kakehashi Africa. So it's good to see that you're keeping in touch with each other. In life, networking is important. Sometimes what you know is very important, but who you know helps you to ensure that you can make proper use of what you know. So you need that. You need what you know is important, but who you know also helps you. So networking and supporting each other is very important. So I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing, and I wish you all the very best of success.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar series, and hopefully we can see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, Senator, and
All right.
you have a lovely day.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, see you guys hopefully tomorrow. Goodbye.